In a new report, the U.S. Coast Guard says that the company that operated the Titan submersible used intimidation tactics to keep its employees from reporting safety concerns, and had critically flawed safety practices for the vessel that ultimately led to its implosion. Hey everyone, it's me here with the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB.
Ho ho ho!
This is the weekly news update where we talk about what happened in the world of transportation this past week. And as always, if you want more information, check out our blog at ntsb.gov.
Ho ho ho!
Okay, this week we are going to be talking about a report released by the U.S. Coast Guard detailing the findings of their investigation into the Titan submersible. The Titan was a deep-diving submersible operated by the firm OceanGate Expeditions. It was designed to take tourists to view the wreck of the Titanic, which lies approximately 12,500 feet below the surface of the water. On June 18, 2023, the Titan submersible was on a dive to the wreck of the Titanic when it suffered a catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 people on board.
Ho ho ho!
The Coast Guard report covers 2 investigations that were conducted by the Coast Guard. One was an investigation under Title 46 of the United States Code focused on the laws and regulations governing commercial submersible vessels. And the other was an investigation under the Carriage of Passengers for Hire Act focused on the safety standards for passenger vessels. The report begins by providing background on the company. OceanGate was founded by Stockton Rush in 2009.
Ho ho ho!
He held a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from the University of Washington and a master's degree in business administration from the same school. Between 2001 and 2005, he worked as a commercial pilot for an airline and accumulated 2,600 flight hours. However, the report states that there is no evidence that Mr. Rush had any formal training, education, or experience in the fields of marine engineering, naval architecture, oceanography, or a related field. The report goes on to say that despite lacking formal training and education,
Ho ho ho!
Rush made numerous claims about his expertise and those of the company's vessels, including claiming that the Titan was certified to go to 4,000 meters, or 12,500,000 feet. In fact, the vessel had not been independently certified since 2018, and its classification expired in 2020. According to the report, Rush believed that traditional classification was unnecessary and that OceanGate could develop and certify their own equipment because they knew their vessels better than anyone else. OceanGate offered 3 different submersible vessels for tourist expeditions.
Ho ho ho!
The first was the 3-person Titan submersible powered by a 60-horsepower engine and rated to 4,000 meters, or 12,500 feet. The second was the 3-person CV-295 powered by a 150-horsepower engine and rated to 1,000 meters or 3,000 feet. And the third was the 5-person Type C Explorer powered by a 350-horsepower engine and rated to 2,000 meters or 6,000 feet. Of the 3, only the CV-295 had a valid certificate of inspection issued by the American Bureau of Shipping.
Ho ho ho!
According to the report, in an effort to market his vessels to wealthy tourists, Rush actively cultivated a public image of being a daring innovator willing to take risks in the name of progress. He believed that the highly regulated aviation industry was overly cautious and stifling, and he expressed frustration with what he perceived to be burdensome safety standards. For example, in a 2019 interview with CBS News, Rush stated, "I am kind of looking forward to that day when we can pull an airline pilot's license because they've landed 10
Ho ho ho!
0 times And maybe an airline has 30 years of maintenance data that proves that pilot is excellent. I think that would be wonderful. Rush also expressed similar sentiments in other interviews. For example, in a 2021 interview with Business Insider, Rush said, "If you're claiming that there's X amount of risk, you need to back that up with data." And nobody could give me an example of an accident in deep water with a commercial vehicle. I wanted to break that mold.
Ho, ho, ho!
The Coast Guard report highlights that Rush's views on safety were not well received within the maritime industry. In a 2019 LinkedIn post, he commented on the sinking of the Titan of the Seas cruise ship, which killed 15 people. Rush wrote, "Taking a giant ship full of people out into the middle of the ocean is statistically much more dangerous than taking a small submersible down to see the Titanic." In another instance, after the death of Paul Walker, an actor who died in a car crash during a charity event in 2013, Rush posted on his personal Facebook page,
Ho, ho, ho!
"Another example of trying to do too much too fast. Had he just put his foot down and kept pushing down, he might have lived." The report then goes on to discuss how Rush tried to foster an aggressive work environment where employees were rewarded for meeting tight deadlines and pushing technical boundaries, but punished for delays and setbacks. Employees described the workplace culture as fast-paced and high pressure with long hours and tight deadlines.
Ho, ho, ho!
Employees reported that Rush fostered a macho workplace culture where employees felt pressure to make the company look good and downplay any potential problems. They also reported that Rush would respond angrily if employees came to him with concerns, and that he often dismissed their ideas. For example, one employee recalled, "You get yelled at in front of the team if you ask too many questions." Another employee recalled, he would intentionally throw people under the bus to make them look bad in front of the client.
Ho, ho, ho!
And another employee said, "If you admitted to making a mistake, you were singled out and bullied until you quit." Employees also reported that they were not allowed to bring safety concerns to Rush. Rather, Rush directed them to bring their concerns to him. Through this process, employees were afraid to come forward with their safety concerns. Over time, these safety concerns were brought to the attention of Guillermo Ceratops, the chief operating officer of OceanGate.
Ho, ho, ho!
But he dismissed them, saying that Rush knew best and that the company had more important things to worry about at the time. Now let's talk about the safety issues found with the Titan submersible. According to the report, several of OceanGate's employees identified multiple issues with the Titan submersible's design and construction that potentially compromised its structural integrity.
Ho, ho, ho!
These issues included a lack of independent third-party verification of critical systems, questionable engineering analysis and design decisions, and the use of unconventional materials in critical locations. Additionally, there was no documented verification that the hull of the Titan met required standards for thickness or material properties. As a result, the Coast Guard believes that the lack of proper engineering analysis and design of the Titan's hull was the probable cause of its catastrophic loss. Lastly, the report goes over some of the lessons learned.
Ho, ho, ho!
The first lesson is that throughout the maritime industry, there exists a pervasive disregard for accepted standards of safety. Second, the rush to meet commercial objectives without fully considering the consequences is a significant factor in the accident. Third, a corporate culture that emphasizes safety as a low priority contributes to inadequate safety practices. Fourth, the willingness to overlook or dismiss safety concerns as insignificant by experienced individuals significantly increase the risk of the accident.
Ho, ho, ho!
Fifth, The absence of a regulatory framework that comprehensively addresses commercial submersible passenger operations contributed to the accident. And the final lesson is that the existing framework for marine casualty investigations does not effectively address the unique characteristics of commercial submersible passenger operations. This concludes the Coast Guard's investigation into the Titan submersible. However, it should be noted that the NTSB is currently conducting its own investigation into the incident.
Ho, ho, ho!
And as I mentioned last week, we are planning to release a video discussing our investigation findings soon. So stay tuned for more information. That's all I've got for you this week. If you like what we do here, you can support us through the link in the description below. And if you want to watch our previous videos, you can do so at the link in the description below or up there. You can also subscribe to this channel to get notifications whenever we post new videos. Once again, this has been your host from the NTSB. Stay safe out there.
Ho, ho, ho!